Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Thank you for coming. Welcome back, those that have been with us before, and welcome for those that are with us for the first time. We've got a couple of new faces, and new faces are always very welcome. I suppose as we have got a couple of new faces, I should do a bit of an intro as to what this is all about. And so this is the Deal Mindfulness group, and we practice mindfulness. We learn a little bit about it, we do a couple of exercises, and I tend to do a bit of talking around some random topic that I will come up with, sometimes 5 minutes before I come through the door, sometimes I'll give it a little bit more thought than that. Mindfulness is about being in the present moment, being in the now. A lot of it's particularly used to help people if they're suffering with stress, anxiety and things like that, because two of the causes, particularly of stress and anxiety, is worrying about the past, things that have happened, and going over and over it and thinking, oh, I should have done this and I should have said that, and what if this had happened, can't believe they did that, can't believe this happened, and stewing on it. Or worrying about the future, thinking, oh, what's going to happen tomorrow, and rehearsing and practicing scenarios in your head. A lot of that happens. We do it naturally. And some of it is human instinct. Hi, come in, it's alright. Some of it's human instinct. Some of it stems from survival techniques. When man used to go out and hunt and gather, if you were going down a particular path and you got jumped on by a bear, if you then go down that path the following day or the following week, you're going to think, oh, there was a bear here last week, I better be careful. So some of it's okay. I've literally just this second started my rambling. So some of it stems from that. Some of it is historical, in that it's this sort of built-in survival technique. But in this day and age, it's pretty redundant. And I say in this day and age, I mean mindfulness and mindfulness practice has its roots way back. A lot of it comes from Buddhist thinking, Buddhist doctrine, Buddhist practice, which is thousands and thousands of years old. But even then, in those times, less likely to get jumped on by a bear than maybe you would have done. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So the practice of mindfulness is about cultivating that awareness of the present moment, being in the present moment so that you're not worrying about letting go of what's happened in the past. So you're not concerned about it. Not concerning yourself with what's going to happen in the future, because we don't know what's going to happen in the future. Even if we've made plans and we think we've got a pretty good idea of what's going to happen, you still can't stick rigidly to that plan, because if that changes, then you're going to struggle. And there's no point in rehearsing those scenarios. I'm guilty of doing it. I used to do it all the time. I'd run through conversations that I was going to have with that particular person that had annoyed me. And they'll say this, and then I can say that, and then I can come back with this line, which is going to be a killer line, and it's really going to make them see my point of view, and I will be victorious. But of course, you practice all of that, and then you see that person the next time, and you're there, ready, with all your lines, and it just doesn't pan out like that. Because the first thing they say to you is not what you planned when you rehearsed it in your head. And so you can't go through your spiel. And if you do try and go through your spiel, it doesn't work. Because it doesn't sync with what they're saying to you. The first thing they do is go, I'm really sorry about what happened last week. I was wrong and out of order. Then you can't then attack them with all this stuff. It doesn't work. But we worry so much about the future. We worry about what's going to happen. And we have no control over it. We can't preoccupy ourselves with that. We can only be aware of and be preoccupied by this present moment, because this is the only moment in time that actually exists. This is the only moment that we have that we can experience our lives. And that is the most precious, wonderful, amazing, beautiful thing. The fact that we are alive, that we have a life, and in this moment we experience it. So that's what the mindfulness group is about. It's about being in the present moment, learning how you can be present now and not be worrying about the past, concerned with the future, just aware of your own being. Now, my subject, I've got some notes, I've actually, only because I got here early. I'd planned some things in my head, and then I had a meeting in the school, and I've come straight from there, so I was here early, so I started scribbling some bits down. So yeah, also, I must warn you, I haven't had my dinner. which means one of two things may happen. Either I'll just turn into a gibbering wreck and won't know what I'm talking about because I'm rubbish when I'm hungry. I'll just be going on, or I'll get psychotic. Because that's the other thing that happens when I get hungry. So I may threaten to eat one of you, or just start gibbering. So yeah, if I start doing that cartoon face where I'm picturing one of you looking like a roast chicken. Well, that's how it happens, I don't eat meat. So I won't be picturing you as a roast chicken. I digress. Yes, games. Games was my subject for this week. Why games? Well, I know this group isn't a kind of a formal learning environment. It's not me teaching and you are students. It's not like that. It's a community thing. It's a group thing. But there is an element of learning to it, learning together, I suppose. And I started thinking about how we learn through playing. But probably because I've got two young children, and they play a lot. Kids do. And playing is great. Now, I've always liked playing. Still do play, I suppose. So I started thinking about that, thinking about playing games, and thinking about whether we are mindful when we play. Are we in the moment when we play games? And I suppose as children, children are always pretty much in the moment anyway. They don't really concern themselves with the past. They can forget that and let it go. And they have very little consideration for anything that might happen in the future, unless it's planning what they're going to do for their birthday. My daughter is already going through every possible birthday celebration. And her birthday's not till October, so she changes. It changes every day. We've had bowling, we've had this, we've had... So kids are normally very mindful. And I was thinking about games, and I suppose there's games that kids play together as a group, and there they are quite mindful. They're in the moment, they're reacting to each other, or responding to each other, that's a better phrase. Responding to each other, responding to what's happening within the game. And then there are games that we play, or games that children play on their own, which I was thinking are possibly less mindful, because they tend to be more led by imagination and imaginary scenarios, which is possibly a little less mindful. Now, there's no right or wrong with this. It's something that I'm going to talk about a little bit more. Whether mindfulness can be a game, whether it should be a game, which elements of games can we bring to it. And there is no right or wrong answers. There is only this moment in time, right now. It's interesting, I was watching a little video earlier, and there's a gentleman called Eckhart Tolle, who's a German spiritual leader, guru, not guru. He's written lots of books, and a lot of his teachings are about mindfulness. And was talking to some other author and spiritual guy. And they started talking about right and wrong, whether a particular idea was right or whether a particular situation was right or wrong. And he said, there's no right or wrong. There's only this moment in time, right now, and our experience of this moment in time. Everything else is just ideas that come from here. Everything else is just some opinion that we form, some idea that we have. You know, if I were to write down what happens in this session and what I talk about in a book, and give that book to somebody else, that's just then some ideas of mine put to paper that then somebody else will experience in another moment in the future. So with the video, you know, recording me talking so that I can post it up on YouTube later. And again, it's just, you know, it's just, again, that's just an idea. And it will be then for somebody else to experience this at some other moment in time. And for them to formulate their own ideas. None of it's right, none of it's wrong. So, before we do any formal exercise, I thought we could try playing the game-ish. I have no idea how this will work. It could go terribly wrong. But we shall see. We shall see. So, we need to set it up first. And this is something that I'd like us to do. I mean, normally we don't do the whole group interaction thing. There's, you know, you don't have to share or all that kind of thing. But for this, we do need to pair up. Or be in threes. We've got threes or whatever. And I've talked about it previously, in previous weeks, that one of the greatest gifts that you can give to people is to just be present for them. Just to be in the moment and be present when you're with them, when you're talking or interacting with them, rather than being sidetracked or have your awareness elsewhere. Just to be present for somebody, without thinking what you can do for them, without really thinking about what you can say to them, just being there. So the first part of our little game is to just be with another person. Okay, so we've got some pairs. I don't know quite how we're going to rearrange some of the other bits, we'll see. So for the first part, I'd just like you to sit with your partner and just be. Okay? So how can we do this? Because we've got a couple there. We've got one. So can I ask people to kind of That's great, lovely. Okay, so now we've got some pairs. I'll do it on my own. I don't care. So for the first part, what I'd like you to do is we're not saying anything, doing anything. I'd just like you to turn slightly to the other person that you're with. And for the next few moments, just be alive in their presence. And it doesn't, if you smile or laugh or anything like that, it doesn't matter at all. But, so to begin with, just become aware of your own breath as you sit. Be aware of your own breath. Feel your breath in and out, each individual breath as it happens. Be aware of your breath. And also begin to become aware of your partner's breath. Aware of their breathing in and out. Maybe they're happening together, maybe they're not. But we're not human doings, we're not human thinkings, we're human beings. And we are just at this moment in time being together. Just being alive together. Being aware of being with somebody else. never met before. So just take the opportunity to just look. Just be with this person. And be aware of how you feel. Maybe you feel silly. Maybe you feel a little awkward. However you feel is absolutely fine. It doesn't matter. But just be aware of it. I'm just going to hand out some paper. Maybe for the next part of the game. It's paper there. I might need to share it because I don't know if I've got enough room. Sorry. Borrowed. I promised to give them back. If you like, you can draw a picture. Has everybody got a pencil and a bit of paper? So this came up because I started looking at games and I went online because all the greatest resources are available from the internet, and there's actually some people who devised some mindful games. They thought meditation classes are stupid and boring. People just sitting there. We need to spice it up and make it fun. So they invented some games. Now this is part of the thing. I don't know whether it's good or not. I don't know whether it's right. I don't know how mindful it is to try and make it a game. I'm not sure. That's what we're going to explore. We'll see. So, now that we've done a little bit of practice of sitting and being with another person, we're going to take it to the next level. And what I'd like you to do on your piece of paper is, as you sit and just be with your partner, and as you become aware of them, I'd like you to just jot down 3 things. So the first 2 things I'd like you to jot down is where you think that person is maybe holding their tension. Everybody holds tension in their body in a particular place. Everybody holds it somewhere. And now just like as you sit and breathe with this other person, just try and get an idea of maybe where they're holding tension. Just jot it down. Don't show the other person what you've written. So do that, and then the third thing to write down is as you sit and breathe, try and get a feeling. This is not trying to cultivate any kind of ESP or anything like that. But just try and get a feel for maybe where their mind is wandering. It might be easier for those people that know each other. For those of you that don't know each other, you haven't got a clue. But maybe just get an idea of where, because your mind will wander. As you sit and you just are in the moment, thoughts will come into your head. It's natural. That's what brains do. They generate thoughts. But just maybe get an idea of where that person's mind is meandering and wandering to. You may have no idea, which you don't have to write anything at all. It's fine. But it'll just be an interesting exercise. So, there's that word again. For the next couple of minutes, just sit with your partner, breathe, be aware of their breathing, aware of your own breathing. Try and develop some awareness of where perhaps they're holding tension in their body, and try and get an awareness of maybe where you think their mind is wandering to, and this is without speaking to them. So, for the next few moments, we'll just try that. supposed to be a bit of fun. We don't, often what we do is just sit very quietly, but wanting to do something a bit more fun. How are we doing? Has everybody written something down? No? When you've written down, we can do some peer marking, and you can swap papers, and you can see whether the other person got it right or not. This will be interesting because we've got some quite different relationships here in the room. Obviously, we've got some people that are complete strangers we've never met before. Then we've got, are you old friends? So we've got old friends, we've got mothers and daughters. So there's some interesting, differing. We've got siblings. So we've got differing relationships. So how did you do, ladies? Spot on. So where were you holding tension? Where did you find all that?
I knew I was online. Seems very relaxed, so I'm not able to say racial tension is what I'm working.
Good.
And just enjoying being here, which is right.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So that's probably the one. We always like to think about what we can do for them, don't we? Best thing you can do, just be there. Just be present. So anybody else have neck and shoulders for the tension? Got one there, one there. Did your partner pick up on it, or did they know that already? Yeah? You got that. Did you know that, or did you just...
No, so I've got that.
You got that. Okay. And what about where people's minds wandered to? Did anybody get it right? You got it right. What did you say? Right. And the family, and what needs to be done, what needs to be put in. Yeah. So there's probably some common themes there, and they do crop up a lot. We worry about other people. We worry about the other people in our lives. What we can do for them, what we can do to help them. Of course, we can't really do anything. The best thing, as I said before, the best gift and present that you can give somebody if they're in difficulty or if they require our care is to be there for them. You know, your friend that's having a hard time, best thing you can do is just be there and